spirit speaking, truth seeking, heart reaching, knowledge leaking, seed sowing, harvest reaping, man of meager means. I have yet to leave, I'm still breathing. To quit, I have no reason. I mean, I'm asleep, but I be trying to live my dreams. I cannot even act if it's all easy. Either you gon' do it or you don't. Really, it ain't no in between. Baby, you can ask the sun. It's an everyday thing. Consistency in your routine is how you bring reality. Working like a slave, that's how I made this masterpiece. Living like a god, I lay at night, I rest in peace. They remember me, but I am not Haram or beef.
Peace. Islam. Welcome back to the Bbt Adept class. To the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. We had a great book club last night. We welcome all nobles and empresses and light seekers to tap in with us. We do these Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Definitely welcome all who want to tap into our classes. Nobles, empresses, we got books, literature, regalia, herbal teas, music. So with no further ado, Noble Sheik, you ready to pop this off?
Yeah, it's Noble Brian. Hey, Noble Brian, I was getting something together. Do you mind giving how the BBT believe real fast? I just want to get a couple things together.
Most definitely. But
gratitude,
do you mind if we do our infomercial?
Yeah, I was about to say, you do it better than me, Noble. I was gonna let you do it, man.
You know it, Noble B.
It's running.
I'm a spirit speaking, truth seeking, heart reaching, knowledge leaking, seed sowing, harvest reaping, man of meager means. I have yet.
mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z.
Once again, this broadcast has been brought to you by mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z, where reading fundamental. Also brought to you by bindedbooks.com, where treasures are bound. Be sure to get all of your teas at My Son's Teas, the tea of teas, divinely prepared at herbsofmyaunt.com. Be sure to check out all of those musical stylings by Brian Hicks Bay at bhbaymusic.com. For your everyday items and religious regalia, be sure to check out morrishaberdasher.com. And for that everyday especial Morris drip, be sure to check out morsachi.com. And all of these companies are powered by ALO Design Pros. Design your online business strategy today.
No such thing as failure, baby, don't forget.
Peace. So scientific study will illuminate the student that Yahweh, our Elohim, God, the creator of the stellar and ecclesiastical universe, has stipulated in all Bibles, regardless of the translation, a pattern that he, Yahweh Elohim, gave Moses in Mount Sinai in the year 1490, BBY, erroneously referred to as BC. It is by a profound knowledge of the construction and operation of this divine pattern of the Mosaic tabernacle in relationship to every created object in the universe, whether visible or invisible, that will reveal the answer to every question concerning Yahweh Elohim and Yahshua the Messiah, as he really is, and his eternal purpose and plan. The Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School is not a church, but a school of research, founded with the idea in mind to delve into every branch of science according to the pattern of the tabernacle, man made in the image of God, or Allah in more science, which is an acronym meaning arm, leg, arm, head. To find the answer to every question that has plagued the student from the foundation of the world, thus proving the unerring accuracy and infallibility of the Bible. In research and study, we always use the true Hebrew names of the unity of the so-called Godhead. Instead of the title God as the Father's name, we are using the correct Hebrew name, Yahweh. Instead of Jesus Christ as the Word or Son's name, we are using Elohim, which is the correct Hebrew title for the Father, Yahweh, in super and corporal form. For the Holy Spirit, which is Yahweh Elohim manifested in a physical body, we are using the correct Hebrew name, Yahshua the Messiah. These holy names may seem to be of private interpretation, which we, the Burning Bush Tabernacle, have invented, but through research and a thorough study with a good encyclopedia or dictionary, anyone can discover for themselves of this great error. There was no letter J in any language until the Middle Ages. Neither was there ever a letter equivalent to the J in the Hebrew language. Therefore, such names as Jesus or Jehovah are impossible renderings of the true name of the Father and the Son. Here at the BBT, our aims are as follows. 1, to illuminate the student to find and know Yahweh, our Elohim, as he really is and exists. 2, to form a nucleus of universal brotherhood of humanity in Yahshua the Messiah, without distinction of race or nationality, creed, sex, caste, or color. 3, to investigate the unexplained spirit law, or so-called law of nature, and the powers latent in man. 4, to encourage and promote the study of the scriptures, comparative religions, psychology, philosophy, modern, practical, and occult sciences. 5, to remove spookism, superstition, skepticism, and ignorance. 6, to learn, to know, and to understand the operation of Yahweh's eternal purpose through the dispensations and ages. 7, to discern and avoid being deceived by Lucifer, the serpent, the devil, the dragon, or Satan and his demons, operating the mystery of iniquity on earth through the dispensations of time. 8, to earnestly contend for the common salvation and faith which was once delivered to the sons or the children of Yahweh. 9, to make known that Yahweh from the beginning ordained there is no other name given among men whereby man can be saved, saving the name Yahshua the Messiah. And last but not least, aim 10, to inherit eternal life now in the kingdom of Yahshua the Messiah with the hope of immortal glorification in the new earth state. And with that, I say Islam, amen, and peace, 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 peace.
Peace, peace. Peace, peace. How everybody doing, man?
Excellent, excellent. How about yourself, Sheik? How you doing?
Man, I am doing amazing, man. Want to say peace in everybody's absence, man. We had a nice workout this morning. You know, we always work the body, but much gratitude. But with that being said, man, let's do our Morse American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, my salvation, my night, and my day. To His holy prophet, which are Ali. Shalom alaikum. Amen. Hotep, whatever word you want to say, Islam, I'm all with it, man. I understand the language. Peace, 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 peace. Where my eyes at? I'm gonna need my eyes. 1 second, man. I can't do nothing without my eyes. All right. All right. So I want to continue to build on where we were building on yesterday. We had our noble Drayshawn Reynolds to illuminate some history coming from the One World Tartarians. And we were offering that information. I'm going to do a little recap on that a little bit, then go on to some other topics that match along with what we're talking about. But when we talk about not using names with lower vibrations, when I say the name Negro, and when I say we are not Negro, Black, and Color, and African American, all you got to do, watch I'm Not Your Negro by James Baldwin, and just see understanding of the minds when we start to have clear understanding. You know, that's all I'm saying to brothers and sisters. You know, I heard a saying somebody said about misnomer Black people. Listen what they said. They said misnomer Black people are addicted to disrespect. This is somebody, you hear me, Malik? I mean, Moso and Brian.
Islam.
They gonna know about Drayshawn. And I said, why? And I said, because they tell misnomer Black people that they're not wanted somewhere and they fight to get in and spend their money. I said, okay, I hear that, but that's not just this people. I understand when you put the microscope on that type of behavior. I get that. So we talk about that behavior. But in this context, we're talking about not even using those lower vibration words to even have that in your mind state, to even have that in your hippocampus, as Noble Dreshan was showing yesterday in the One World Tartarians. And we're going to be able to, piggyback on that and touch that as we jump around in some other information that we have that goes along with this. Why you should tell people who you are. This has nothing to do with no sovereign citizen mess. We know that ain't how we operate. People can see us and see how we've been operating forever. We know we don't play those goofy games that a lot of these individuals playing out here. We don't do that. So I wanna just speak on a little bit of wisdom when I talk about more science and how a lot of things is old as I'm building up to what we're talking about. Because I want y'all to get things in your head and start researching. So when we talk about other books that's titled in different, how can I say, that's titled different. When I talk about the infinite wisdom, or AKA the second Moorish Akashic record. When I start talking about how the Moorish Quran was gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared, not to replace, but to show a certain people, and I just want to give a little introduction on this because I don't know if nobles have this. I have to check in my files and see if I have this for you for PDF, but I'll double check. But let me give you some little insight on this. Have any of you ever heard of the infinite wisdom, the second Moorish Akashic record?
Only through our classes, no?
Islam. Okay. And so what is highlighting is the second Akashic record of the revelation of the lost found Moorish nation of the northwest of Mexico is the text presented. It is a critical edition of the 1923 work Infinite Wisdom, published by De Lawrence Publishing of Chicago. This work was later reprinted in 1925. Listen to me. By the Oriental Literature Syndicate of San Francisco. That reprint was revised and given a new introduction to make the text an Egyptian work that made its way to Tibet instead of one composed there. All commentary from the text is included along with notes where three texts differ. Since this was the source text of chapter 20 to 44 of the Moorish Circle 7 Quran, or the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple, I have included textual differences for the sections of the text relevant to that sacred text. Why should such a text be analyzed in such a detail? It provides one measured response to the trials and the tribulations of the Great Migration at the start of this century, from former plantations to ghettos of the inner city, for former slaves that were once members of great empires and nations, but have forgotten their language, traditions, and customs. The 1920s saw a mass migration of African Americans from the South to the large cities of the North. The most favorite destination included New York, which was Harlem, when you talk about the Black Hitler of Harlem, Chicago, Detroit, Lansing, Kansas City, Cleveland, Baltimore, we know Maryland, Pittsburgh, of course, Philadelphia, Newark, of course, Washington, D.C., we know D.C. They came here looking for jobs and better standards of living for themselves, their families. All too often they arrive with little earthly possessions and interrupted education, and were easily taken in by slumlords and scam artists. We talk about that today. We talk about these today. But some of these were pie in the sky preachers. Remember back then you had Father Divine, Daddy Grace. No disrespect, but I'm just highlighting what we're talking about. Daddy Grace had limos and 7-inch long fingernails. Ask your parents about these characters I'm talking about, Later on included the 49 States movement, the Abyssinians, the Garvey movement, and then, of course, the Moorish Science Temple. I'm just setting the precedent. The Abyssinians were made famous for burning American flags, but we don't do no stupid stuff like that. the Moorish Science Temple, the NAACP, and the Nation of Islam would make sure they were not confused with Grover Washington Cleveland's Chicago-based Abyssinians, also known as the Star Order of Ethiopia. Ask around. Just ask around a little bit. You'll see all this. Out of these conditions, the Prophet Noble Ali was brought, and we know about the history and all that. I don't want to stay into all of that, but I just want to set a precedent of what we're saying and what was brought. And we got to stop letting people always talk about, well, this and that and the other. And I say, well, what about you and what about your family? Let's stop destroying the good that men have done. And even Europeans will tell the good that the Prophet was done for us as a people, to understand who we are, not to disrespect no one, but as a people. This is what I'm saying. As a people, of course, the Prophet in 1913 founded the Canaanite Temple, and they say Dr. Suleiman in New York, Abdul Hamid Solomon, that's what they say. I'm not saying that's a fact because I wasn't there, but why would I diss wisdom and why would I diss brothers with understanding? I'm not here to do that. Over the next 5 years, this group grows until he has run-ins with Master Fard Muhammad, yet not to find the Nation of Islam and the Justice Department for his refusal to allow his followers to serve in the military, but other religious groups don't. That's your religious right. In 1916, he dissolved his partnership with Dr. Solomon, closed the Canaanite Temple, and started the Holy Mobite Temple of the world. This will last for a few years, and he will found the Moorish Divine and National Movement of North America. Temples were set up in Pittsburgh, Detroit, and in August of 1925, he sets up shop in Chicago in the basement of one of his first converts, Edward Meliel. That's what they say. But I don't want to stay too far in that. I want to just highlight a little bit of wisdom where you can trace everything that I'm saying all across the board. You can see certain figures in history that have done things, especially if you talk to European Masons, especially if you talk to Scottish Rite European Masons, they're going to tell the truth. And it's no disrespect. So as I get into the main topic, because it shouldn't be too long, because we just making some points through history, as today is our Adapt in History class. And if anybody want to add anything as I'm speaking, you're more than welcome. But the other day, my noble Mufti, Minister Drayshawn Reynolds L, was speaking on the One World Tartarians, and he started at a part about destroying the identity of the Blackamoor Tartarians. And now Blackmore is a modern vernacular. But once I find in my studies, I'll show you how it was transliterated to Blackamoor today. It sounds the same, but it's spelled a little different historical, but you can see how it comes to Blackamoor today to speak vernacular. Mm-hmm. Because the transliteration has to be based off the same thing for you can understand it. My name is Korean in all languages. But I just want to talk about a little bit about how we'll talk about rewriting history, North American Moors elimination and rewriting of American history. And so I just want to talk about it a little bit. The territories of Canada, United States, Mexico were known as Indian Superior and were populated by the same people that was wiped out across the ocean during the Russian Revolution, 1917, and the German Revolution, 1918 and 1919. The Russian Revolution alone may have exterminated a 5-decade-long bloodbath that slaughtered 1 million Russian Tartarians. As the old world order Tartarians were eliminated, the new world order Romanovs then divided the imperial territory as Canadian, American, and Mexican lands, seized the world power, and rewrote the history of Americas. After take possessions of the Newfoundland of Nova Scotia, the NWO reached New Amsterdam, which was New York, Washington. Oh yeah, Washington and the Great Lakes of North America, settling in Milwaukee, Chicago, Detroit. From there, they organized the massacre of 10 of millions of buffaloes, cows, and wild horses, and transformed the assembly lines of the electric car factories into oil cars. You hear what I just said?
Yep,
It
turning
was
the electric
necessary.
cars into oil cars.
Yep,
Somebody had to sell some oil.
yep. It was necessary, swept away all the fertile lands from its original inhabitants. It was then that the massacre of men and animals began. The NWO ordered the native Indians. Remember, Christopher Columbus was such a great navigator that he thought he landed in India. Hence, American Indians were named. Think about it.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. He was in America.
Yeah, the author was trying to be sarcastic or facetious.
Yeah. Yes. To leave their lands and march without water or food for days. We know as the Trail of Tears. The aim was to exterminate them without spending ammunition. Others were killed on their own land through blankets, impregnated with smallpox. Perhaps many of them went to feed Chicago's meat industries, mixed with those of their herds. No disrespect. This is what the writer says. You can't get mad at history. According to the Throp, this is in Russian. It's an essay in Tartarian Info. Approximately 50,000 people worked in the slaughterhouses, and about 1,200 animals were slaughtered per hour. By this time, all factories, industries, and properties had already changed hands and would slowly be brought together into further corporations. Sugar, beer, cotton, alcohol, corn, weapons, banks, paper, money, oil, companies, casinos, financial services, vehicles, railways, corporate facilities, health system, airplanes, grocery stores, education and research, cement, copper, steel, tourism, information technology, energy, gold, diamonds, bomber planes. In the South, where there had never been segregation, slaves, or black subordination. Therefore, the carnage was equally total. What the official history reports as a reconciliation between the North and the South after the Civil War, it never existed, family. Never existed. The massacre was necessary so that the NWO could take over all the lands and retell the history.
That's some cold turkey behind.
Oh, yeah. Concealing the destruction and remitting it to a remote past. Legends like Mark Twain then would emerge, signing novels that would describe a racism, a non-existence, through the eyes of Tom Sawyer, and beautiful real balloons rise in the adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Oh yeah, no disrespect. We just setting the precedent. We in school, we in class. The original Americans, Moors, they were more likely Islamic. Think about this now. Not saying no al-Islam, but when I show you Sheikh Bamboo Falls, Noble Moso know what I'm talking about. We're talking about the Mordans. We're talking about the Tafawus. We have to tell our story of Islam. We can't let nobody come here, no disrespect, no Arab, no modern Arab, A-R-A, because that's not an ancient Arab. Give Vladimir Dale's dictionary of an Arab. Give Bertrand Thomas' book, The Arab, and the European will tell you exactly what an ancient Arab is. Check.
Islam, Arab.
Okay, so we're not here being racist or a certain way. We just telling how it is.
Speaking matter-factually.
That's right. That's right. That's right, Noble. That's all we're doing. The original Americans more likely were a fashion of Islamic per se, because Islam was in America and had a big influence on America. When I talk about all the scholars, what do you say? Islam Sheikh, I am Mudit, took my bayat with Sheikh Sufi Ba. Islam. So when I talk about Sheikh Bamboo Falls, the Mordines, I hope people be knowing what I'm talking about. I don't come with disrespect. Even when I talk about the Santeria and when I talk about the Orisha, I have to know what I'm talking about, because a lot of those things are connections. When I talk about the Eligba and the issue, we can't be afraid of our culture. I'm not going to allow that. That's why I say we should be able to do things accordingly. as brothers of understanding. You know, that's all. And a person that's under a certain type of science should understand what type of Islam and what type of auspices that they under when we dealing with the wisdom. I hope brothers know, and it's no disrespect, but Islam was in America and had a big influence on America because you have a total of 565 names, 484 in America, 81 in Canada, of villages, towns, cities, mountains, lakes, rivers, a tectora, you know, are etymologically Arab, which were, when I say Arab, I mean ARAP. You know, this is what I mean. You know, Arabic, which were designated by locals long before the arrival of Columbus. Many of these names are in fact the same as names of Islamic places: Mecca in India, Medina in Idaho, Medina in New York, Medina in Hazen in North Dakota, Medina in Ohio, Medina in Tennessee, Medina in Texas, Medina in Arva in Ontario, Muhammad in Illinois, and Mona in Utah are just a few noticeable names at the outset. And when I go back home, I was born in Tampa, a small city called Plant City. When I go back, I'm gonna see if my Mufti Brian that's on here. When I go back, I'm gonna go to the University of Tampa, and I'm gonna show you that was the Sultan capital. I'm gonna show you that the Sultan stayed there. That was an empire. That was a Moroccan empire. I'm gonna show you. And they try to just take you back to history a little bit when it was a hotel, but I got the information showing that was the Moroccan capital, and that was the Sultan Empire. If you can look at the top, you can see the crescent and everything on the top. And what they got in the doctoral library, which they just got collecting dust, but I got the information. No one can deny what I'm saying. If they do, then we're going to prove that they are fraud. Any misnomer black person to come with that crap and say that the University of Tampa wasn't the Sultan Empire, they're a lie and ain't no truth in them. Point blank. Point blank. And ain't no slaves have no empire. And ain't no slaves have no empire. And it ain't no disrespect again. A closer analysis of the names of the native tribes will immediately reveal their Arabic etymological ancestry, like Anazi, Apache, Arawak, Arakan, Chauvin, Cherokee, Cree, Hohokam, Hopa, Hopi, Makah, Mohican, Mohawk, Nazca, Zulu, and Zuni are only a few. Yes, the Zulu. When I deal with Credo Matua, that's the Zulu. They tell you we gave Islam to America. When you were sheik, when you were scholar, you're able to go back and teach your people and the babies. And you see how David Icke got rich off interviewing Credo Matua. He had to go in exile, die poor. They ramaged and took all his artifacts. And David Icke, multi-millionaire, lecturing about Credo Matua, about history. And he got rich off of it. Islam was everywhere in the Americas. One just has to look for it. Even when I talk about Thomas Jefferson Quran, they all want, even when I talk about Stolen Legacy by George G.M. James, because you can see the evidence of Queen Khalif, California, to Allah Booyah, Alabama, to Tallahassee, to Medina, Ohio, to Morristown, New Jersey, to Islamorda, which is Florida, and to Alhambra, California. So, of course, Muslims have left a big impact on America. What happened to the Berbers, the Saracens, the Muslims of the Americas? Remember the ancient name of the Berbers, the Amazighs? I broke that down a long time ago. It's no disrespect. We have to start connecting dots. Have you ever heard of Spanish Inquisition? We were talking about yesterday. The Dumb Diverses of 1452, issued by what Noble Dreschan was eloquently breaking down, giving a highlight, asking people to say, read this, or I'm highlighting. Authorizing so-called Christians to do what? Enslave Saracens and non-believers, and to take their lands because no one disappeared. It is just that everyone has become ignorant. And there are over 500 cities and towns in the United States named after Muslims, and a huge part of Europe as well. Because the textbooks, the so-called history and education of today are all manipulated. Western academics
Sheik, my bad.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say you was talking about the Spanish Inquisition, and a
Yes.
lot of nobles don't understand about that. I mean, that was when they converted Moors or quote unquote Africans to Christianity. It was either convert or you're dead. You're dead. So we all we get so locked into just Christian history in America, and we don't really embrace the Islamic Moorish history like you're breaking down.
Yeah. Yeah. And Western academics will not get us out of our deep sleep. And I'm not putting it on nobody that don't look like me. I'm saying it's our responsibility. Everyone that went to school and they say they got a degree in African American studies, or they study civics, or they study law pertaining to nationality and spirituality and all this, clearly something is wrong. Clearly, you can say, well, I don't think what you say, or you're not educated. You just went and got a degree. Because Western academics is the institution that we have put, we the people, will put our children in and not to challenge it. I went to the university to show who we were in peer-reviewed scholarly research, and I came out, what? As a scholar. The Moors come from the Orient, the East. What's also interesting is that Oriental means Western scholars who study Islam. I hope y'all know, according to the book, Orientalism. Listen to what I'm saying, by Edward Said. When I say we are jumping all the scholarship, write it down. Islam came from the Orient. Additionally, if you read subsection 4 of the Delaware law, it will tell you that the Lenape Indians were formerly known as Moors. As Moors. Can somebody say checkmate? I'm waiting for somebody to say, Sheik, checkmate. If we was in a Christian church, they'd be throwing money at my feet. We should be proud of who we are. We can't understand who we are, and the law books tell you exactly who you are. When we talk about the SF 181 form pertaining to ethnicity, do you know how to fill a form out? Nope. Well, what do you talk about? If you read subsection 4 of the Delaware law, it will tell you that the Lenape Indians were formerly known as Moors. The Lenape were Delaware Moors originally. However, the word Lenape means we the people, the preamble of the U.S. Constitution, or true people. Fact check me. Lenape also means serpent, dragon, naga, nigga. Research on YouTube where the little European Albion Trinidad young man, no disrespect, and they said, spell the word niggas. And he was like, can you give me the origin of the word? Can you put it in a sentence? Because he wanted to know what he was talking about and get the origin. And once he figured out what he was talking about, he spelled it the right way. Nagas, N-A-G-A-S, royalty people from a certain continent of the world. Fact check me what I'm saying. Likewise, Indian names like Saxon and Dakota also mean serpent or dragon. Have y'all ever seen, I'm going to drop a little nugget on y'all real fast. Y'all ever seen the Thunderbird, the car Thunderbird?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now do some history of the ancient Thunderbird when they make it seem like it's always big. Now, that's a certain culture of history that they don't want to tell y'all, but I'll talk about that later on. But keep that in your hippocampus, that whole picture and that understanding of the Thunderbird. You can see that all in the totem poles. Why you see that in all cultures, in cultures, the Thunderbird on the totem pole, in Egyptian history and all this. Keep that in your hippocampus. I'll break that down at another time. Or dragon, because Moors, Indians named themselves after the serpent wisdom. Remember, the Buddha sits on the 7 serpents, the Gautama Buddha that sits on the 7 serpents. Oh, damn, I got the book right here. Damn. Ain't that something, y'all? Gods of Northern Buddhism, right here. Gods of Northern Buddhism. When I say, man, we can just start connecting the dots all across the board. And when I start showing the pictures and everything, it ain't nothing nobody can say. But check. We talk about the same people when we start showing history and monuments and statues and the real things. Just like in the biblical story, Paul on the road to Damascus, when he was going to colonize the native people, and they already had their God, because in all first century, God was Sophia, with the woman, the feminine counterpart. No disrespect to no man that don't understand that. You're just not being historical. And they took the god Artemis that was so-called melanated with all the breasts on it and turned it to unmelanated figure. No disrespect. Fact check me on what I'm telling you. All you gotta do is check. Then I start showing you the scholarship. And it's no disrespect. I'm showing you that you was put on a certain pedestal. I'm just showing both perspectives because I already showed the other perspective when so-called Al-Islam Muslims be trying to diss things, and I say, I'm gonna clear that up right off the top. I'm gonna clear. Matter of fact, I think I already cleared that up when I showed you who all these people were in first century, the first church fathers. I'll wrap that up at the end where I'm just showing you both sides. When both sides of the spectrum can be totally off, nobles. Y'all feel me? Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
Watch this. Come on, interject if you need to. The serpent wisdom that we worship when Moors ruled the world. But when does Islam come from? Did it come from Mecca, California? Media, Indiana, Mecca, Indiana, Morocco, Indiana? Did it come from Sufism? Sufism is Sophia. Sophia is in your Bible, and you don't even know it. I said, did it come from Sufism? AKA is Sufism in your Bible. In your Bible is Sufi. What is Sophia in the Bible? Noble Brian? Fact check me. What is it, Brian?
Wisdom.
Oh, so your Bible talking about a type of wisdom, a type of understanding, the type of Islam that she talking about? Absolutely. And you just don't see it. Which was a science that comes from India? Question. Do all religions come from India superior in the Americas? Question. Now in the eyes of hijacked Hebrews, no disrespect, Templars, aka the Holy Roman Empire, I'm just giving a precedent. The Habsburg dynasty, the Holy Land, was in possession of infidels, aka they called them Muslims or Moors. Therefore, they were authorized via what? Remember I was talking about yesterday, the dumb diverses? Research the dumb diverses of 1452. What was that to do? To take Muslim, Jerusalem, the Americas, Granada, away from the Moors, who were Saracens. Also, for more peer-reviewed reference, nobles, and all true light seekers, read the dumb diverses, which authorized the Templars, the Knights of Christ, to conquer Saracens and pagans, take their possessions, and to subject them to perpetual servitude, slavery. So when Paul was going on the road to Damascus, he was going to colonize. Who? The Sibyls. I'm trying to tell you, don't get mad at me. I'll show you this. I can show you how the Catholic Church tried to whitewash the Sibyls in history. Ask any Catholic about the Sibyls and about the style and about what I'm saying. And then I can show you all that history is in the Bible under certain code that you have to see with your eye. And the average person that's not, how can I say it? A light isn't open, you're not going to see it. But to have them doing perpetual servitude, which was slavery, and this papal bull, and none of them were ever rescinded. None of them was ever descended. So when I be saying, brothers, they black and they proud, I say, why? I ask this number of black people, how can you say reparations and then Black Lives Matter in the same breath? That's an oxymoron. How can you say that and say, we're going to go to court as black people, we smart, we know the law, and then according to science and law, black is dead, silver mortis, and you don't know Latin, and Latin is not a dead language. You say it's dead because you don't know law, and you think it's dead, but it's no excuse of not knowing the law and knowing the language in the court of law. That's your fault. That's how most people get hung in court, and which is the current problem that Moors and Americans face as Saracens, who are the so-called red ones, aka the lost tribes of Israel. And I can show you in the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon tell you this. Anybody, any scholar can tell you this and be like, that man is telling you the truth, because the Book of Mormon is plagiarized from another book called The View of the Hebrews, word for word. No disrespect. And this papal bull was issued against the Moors and Saracens in order to take the Muslims, Jerusalem, away from us, which was Granada. Notice on the 1597 map of Granada, Nova. Look at that. I'm giving you scholarship. You can see the famed 7 cities of Kabola, aka the 7 cities of gold, surrounding a lake on the map. And Granada has the same name as the pomegranate in Spanish. Research what I'm telling you. The Spanish word for the fruit is Granada, and therefore the symbol of the promised land, because the pomegranate appears throughout the streets of Granada in Spain, just like in Arizona. Lemons everywhere, pineapples, grown trees, as you wander around the city. But the pomegranate is also associated with the promised land of Israel. Research what I'm saying, because a pomegranate is a metaphor for what? The richness of the promised land of Israel. Somebody give me Deuteronomy 8:8. It's all you got to do. It's in there. When I be telling my people, I said, we're not here to destroy nothing. We builders. We master builders, Noble Brian. We're not destroying nothing. Nobody can be upset with what I'm saying. A sheik, a Macklin, and a guy can go in any religious house. When people see me, especially Christians, you got to give me honor and praise. Why? Because I look like Yahshua. My whole attire, if I have on my tunic and my turban, the followers of Yahshua wear a turban. The high priest wear a turban with the jewels on it. My tunic can be cotton or silk. What they talking about?
You said 8 and 8?
Yeah. Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 8. Absolutely, my Moorish brother.
Deuteronomy 8 and 8. It reads, a land of wheat and barley and vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey.
So we're not just named that have these beautiful things that the scripture just said, and we don't understand something. When I broke down all this week, the sacredness of everything, and then I just started in the sacredness of the world. Y'all got the documents. I've been breaking it down. It's going to open up a whole nother chamber. As Moors, as adapts, as nobles, I'm supposed to open up your chamber of understanding that make you mighty, that make you do some of the things that you thought that you couldn't do. To instill the same thing in your kids. To when your woman standing proud, she's wearing her turban and her fez, and your children and all that. That's just what it is. This is what we're supposed to do. See our brothers and sisters in the streets with turbans and fez and standing up right, operating right. That's what we're here to do. So Islam. But in the Song of Solomon, Sulamith's cheeks are compared to halves of a pomegranate. I'm talking about, this is in another text. You know, why were all of the corn places destroyed except for the forced corn place in South Dakota, the dragon, the serpent, which exists today? Think about these things, because the building did not fit with the current narrative of the Americans being a uncivilized new world. So most of the old world pre-mud flood buildings were either destroyed or converted into what? Federal buildings, courthouse, governor mansions, capitol buildings, post offices, state buildings, universities, etc. When I just talked about the University of Tampa, I just broke down the University of Tampa. I'm telling you, this is what it is. Even a lot of the lower level Masonic houses is like that. And your brother, your uncle, your dad, that's a Prince Hall Freemason, won't even tell you this. Wears fez and clandestine. Freemasonry also means the masonry that was free, because all, no disrespect, Europeans had to do was dig out these Moorish Tartarian structures from the mud after the Great Comet of 1811 and 1812 had completely destroyed the old world order via massive earthquakes and all that, massive tidal waves. All this happened. You know, the Cherokee were the real Romans, and they built all the Greco-Roman architecture and the Cherokee Gothic architecture in the Americas. And this map of 1810 shows New and Old California and vast lands of Louisiana purchased allegory. And it's in the book, The One World Tartarians. I don't want to hold it up because I want to keep going, but it's in there. You know?
Yes, sir.
This is what I'm trying to show brothers and sisters, to at least open up your mind and a conversation. You know? This is what I want people to see. You can start tracing things and start looking at ancient maps. In here, the One World Tartarian, I got ancient maps. Tartary had to be multi-religious and multicultural in its vastness. It's a place, what is called Malali? Is that a place in Rome, I think, or Italy, where Jews, Muslims, and all that, they walk around together. You know, they walk around together. In 1652, Tartary appears to have control over the North America. Also note the incredible detail of the cities. Noble, I don't know if you can put that up there right now, but I'm on page 38. But that's why we be asking people to get with us, so we can put the information in your hand. You don't have to go to Amazon and pay for all this. A small donation, you get this to your tablet. You go to Alphas, Max, and Staples and print it. You want the wisdom. But let's proceed. Note the incredible details of the city, rivers, latitude, longitudes, and these very detailed maps. that cover most of the world. And I'm showing, and we have the maps. Washington State, USA, 1891. Do you think it was possible to produce the map below by 1891, only 45 years after the arrival of the first settlers? Question 2, was it possible to settle and develop this territory, considering that up till 1880, there were only 75,000, and up till 1890, only 375,000 people to do so? Here is the Washington State Territory Historical Census data, and we got the maps. So I don't know if my noble can put it up, but I'm on good time.
Yeah,
I'm on page 40. I'm in the one word Tartarian. Take your time, but I'm on page 40. It also worth mentioning that the British flag table of 1783, there are 3 different flags listed as a flag of the Tsar of Moscow. There is also an imperial flag of Russia, as well as a multiple naval flag. And all of them are preceded by a flag of the victory of Russia. Significance of the victory is in the definition of the term. A victory, V-I-C-E-R-O-Y, is a regal official who runs a country, colony, city, province, or sub-national state in the name of and as representatives of the monarch of the territory. Our official history will probably say that it was the Tsar of Russia who will appoint a victory of Moscow. I have reason to doubt that. Why is the flag of the victory of Moscow positioned prior to any other Russian flag? Could it be that the victory of Moscow was superior to the Tsar and was supervising how this Tartarian possession was being run? Look at this stuff with your eyes. This is what we have to be sharing with the world. And this is by their historians. Look at the griffins, the symbols of the great Tartarian. The griffin, or the griffon, ancient Greek, how it's spelled. Classical Latin, how it's spelled different. Later medieval Latin, how it's spelled. Old French, you can see how it's spelled. Is a legendary creature with the body, tail, and the back, legs of a lion, and the head and wings of an eagle. Follow what I'm saying? And sometimes an eagle's talons as its front feet, because the lion was traditionally considered the king of the beasts, and the eagle, the king of the birds. And by the Middle Ages, nobles and empresses and true light seekers, the griffin was thought to be an especially powerful and majestic creature. Since classically antiquity, griffins were known for guarding treasures and priceless possessions. Remember, keep that thunderbird in your hippocampus, nobles. In Greek and Roman texts, griffins and armostens were associated with gold deposits of Central Asia. Indeed, as Pliny the Elder wrote in his writings, griffins were said to lay eggs in barrels underground, and these nests contained gold nuggets. In medieval heraldry, the griffin became a Christian symbol of divine power and a guardian of the divine. We just building. In Tartarian legend of this period, it was believed that griffins mated for life, and that when one partner died, the other would live the rest of his or her life without seeking another partner, perhaps due to the fact that there weren't many griffins around. This has led to claim that the griffin was used by the church as a symbol against remarriage. It's unclear, however, whether this was the actual belief or just a modern interpretation. Although the griffin might seem like a creature conjured from the imagination of mankind, there might actually be some truth of this creature. We build it. In this desert, the fossil of a dinosaur called the Protoraptors can be found when we start doing archaeology. So I want us to really keep an eye on things and your head on things. I'm gonna break down a little science that's gonna capture your mind. Think about this, because I want you to open your chamber. Think about this now. Interestingly, there are various hybrid creatures that are similar to griffins. Think about this now. Remember, it was the Lamassu, Lamassu. Look that up. It was a Assyrian mythical creature that had the head of a man, a body of a lion or a bull, and the wings of an eagle. Research what I'm saying. Watch this. This is also what the original Great Sphinx of Egypt was designed as. Remember, according to biblical references, these four animal faces represents what? The four dominions of God rule. The man, oh yeah, come on, Brian. Yes, it's up. The man represents humanity, the lion, the wild animals, the ox, the domestic animals, and the eagle, the birds. These four creatures first appear together in the Judeo-Christian context of what? For all my Christians, they should know. They don't know. In Ezekiel. Fact check me on my Christians, which was probably written around the 3rd century BCE. In chapter 1, the prophet encounters fantastic beings in the heavens. As for the likeness of their faces, they four had the face of a man, right? And the face of a lion on the right side. And they four had the face of what? An ox on the left side. They four also had what? The face of an eagle. Am I right about what I'm saying? Read the story. I'm just setting the precedent. Queen Khalifa ruled the island of California with what? Griffins, which she fed the flesh of men to keep Spanish invaders away. I'm just giving the story. She commanded a fleet of ships with which she ruled and maintained peace in the surrounding lands. And the islands included Baja, Hawaii. She reportedly kept an aerosol defense force of griffins and other fabulous animals, which were native to California, trained to defend the land against invaders. She even was said to feed her griffins male flesh to repel male Spanish invaders, aka conquistadors. And when you see those big eagles, when you go out certain places and you see those eagles, they be picking up those sheep and all that, and all those other animals. They even try to pick up baby bears and things. Think about it. She was so powerful, she could project her imperial power over the seas of the Mediterranean at will. The Epsilonian narratives that Khalifa maintained cultural and traditional contacts with the Moors of Africa. And when I start tracing all this, I can trace all this back to the symbols, what the Catholic Church have in their archives. And any person that's Catholic know what I'm talking about. It told of her wars in the Mediterranean seas, in Anatolia, the Byzantine Empire, and in Southern Europe. Watch this allegory, y'all, and then we're gonna go to the next topic, because I know we on good time. The allegories of the Wizard of Oz. Check this out. Most are aware that the first ever color movie made public was The Wizard of Oz, and was full of allegoricals and allegories. The yellow brick road was paved in gold. Watch this, Noble Brian. As the U.S. legal currency was based on gold. Such was the movie The Wizard of Oz, an allegory of the state of affairs we now live in today, an allegory of the unfolding, the new world order that was instituted in America via, when we talk about things like the stock market and the crash, 1929, the bankruptcy, 1933. But the United States government employee title 5 USC 552, question mark, in parentheses A, parentheses 2, the Internal Revenue Code, the IRC, and all state tax codes are in harmony with the above definition of individual by reference only. Therefore, a corporation of one is an artificial person constructed by law, not a living, breathing man or woman. An individual is a public corporate person or persona, existing only in the public government domain, having been created by law, not by God. I'm just telling you what it is.
And you gotta research those words, persona.
You have to.
The etymology of etymological understanding of them.
Yep. That's why I don't break that side. I tell any more you're talking that sovereign citizen overthrowing the government, you're going to jail. Period. The straw man represents the legal straw man, filled with hay and no standing. In 1930, the all capital letter written named straw man, the newly created artificial person that has no brain and speaks and acts for its once upon a time sovereign. You and me. And just because caps don't mean nothing, we already broke that down. I don't want nobody to get caught up. Oh, well, my name in caps. All right, well, I write in lowercase. Is this you? Yep. Get out my face. I mean, point blank. Was created while Americans were confused and distracted by the commotion caused by the introduction of the New World Order, the communistic socialism. It's no disrespect. No disrespect. The scarecrow identified this straw man persona for Dorothy. Some people without brains do an awful lot of talking. When you get on the internet, nobles, and you got all these so-called gurus telling you how they can cancel corporate debt, and they telling you that your Social Security is attached to some millions. Okay, well, you ain't thought about this. If my Social Security number is attached to some millions, smart, retardo, fardo, why yours ain't?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you telling me about something?
Show me
You
the
know,
movies.
because it's all bull crap. Of course, I'm not bright about doing things. The setting of this allegory in Kansas, the heartland of America, the geographical center of the United States of America. It came to the twister, the whirling confusion of the Great Depression, the stock market crash, bankruptcy, theft of American gold, that whisked Dorothy and Toto up into the New World Order, an artificial new dimension. Stay in the science, somewhere over the rainbow, above the solid ground of Kansas. And when they landed in Oz, Dorothy commented to her little dog Toto, Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. Exactly. After the bankruptcy of the United States, Kansas was no longer Kansas anymore. It was now KS, a 2-capital letter federal postal designation. Research what I'm saying. That is part of the federal zone, designated by the zone improvement. You know, y'all know what the zone improvement is, the zip code established by the bankrupt United States in 1933. I'm just saying all the time you can look at the money. And Dorothy and Toto were now in this state. The terms in the state, this state, and the state are deceptively defined for tax jurisdiction purpose as the District of Columbia, aka United States Inc. per se, or the corporate United States. This is just free information. The Tin Man, our taxpayer identification number, the TIN, the Tin Man per se, is a hollow man of tin, a vessel or vehicle, newly created code words for our straw man per se. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm setting the precedent. They'll go out doing no dumb stuff and say, oh, I heard she saying this and this, this. And I'm going to tell you a lie ain't no truth in you. Just as the straw man has no brain, the Tin Man vessel, the vehicle has no heart. Both are artificial. Person, persona, equals mask. One of the definitions of tin found in the Webster's dictionary is counterfeit. The Tin Man represents the mechanical and heartless aspect of commerce and commercial law, just like they say in the mafia, as they throw you overboard, your feet in concrete overshoes. It's nothing personal. It's just business. So the lion in the story represents at one time, the fearless American people as having lost their courage. And after a round with the IRS in defending your Tin Man, your dummy corporation vessel, your vehicle, individual, employee, public corporation, all capital letters per se, with name, artificial person, whatever you want to call it, you lose your courage too. And most people do. Because I'm telling you, when they be talking all this, or this person did this, and this person showed a way not to pay no taxes, every one of them lying. I'll show you they be talking in jail, and their cronies be going to jail. It's a way to do things the right way. And that is not. The religious laws trump everything. If you don't understand that, ain't nothing else I can teach you. You perhaps haven't known it, but the IRS has been dealing with you all along under laws of commerce, just like the Tin Man per se. The commerce has no heart. It's heartless. So to find the wizard, you have to follow what? The yellow brick road. You have to follow the gold bar road per se. Follow the trail of American stolen gold, and you will find the thief who stole it. That's all I'm saying. When you start realizing some things, then you see the power and the dynamics of the people. That's when you'll start realizing, when you say the power of this social media and all of us over the world under the sound of one voice can come together and do things the right way. They all should scamper toward the Emerald City, the city of green, non-federal, Federal Reserve notes. So I just wanted to set a precedent, you know? I just wanted to set that precedent. It's so much great history, you know? I mean, as I go over to page 54, yep, I'm on good time. The island of California, I'm on page 54.
Yes, sir.
Know that on the right hand of the Indies was an island called California. very near to the region of the terrestrial paradise, which was populated by misnomer black women, without there being any men among them. That almost like the Amazons, you know, was their style of living. When we talk about the Sibyls, they were of vigorous bodies and strong and arid in heart and of great strength. The island is itself the strongest in the steep rocks and cliff. So they're talking about a group of women in California. Queen Caliph, written in the 16th century romance novel by a Spanish author named, research what I'm saying, Garcia Ordonez de Montalvo. It was titled Las Sergas del Muy, Esforada Caballero, Espolanina, Hijo del Excelente, Rey Amides de Guala, if I pronunciated that right. But the inspiration for the word was likely Khalifa or Khalifa, which means successor in Arabic, but most specifically refers in Islam to a head of the state or the leader of the Muslims. Montalov or Montalov was surely familiar with these words. And portions of Spain were ruled by the Moors, and the Moors were the ancient Tartarians. That's why in the Bible, they always try to relate you to hell when they say go a place where people went to Tartar, to hell, and all this, who were Muslims from 1757 to 1492. And it fits the story narrative. Montalov's novel was a fanciful rehash of the struggle between Christians and Muslims during the Crusades. And even when you talk about stories, man, like Wonder Woman, when you think about these things, when Wonder Woman Homeland is first introduced in 1941, it's referenced as the Paradise Island. Think about these things, these similarities. You know, the Amazons were given a break from the hostilities and temptations of man's world. Think about these things when you start looking at certain areas. The name California, I went to 56, traces its origin to a century-old story about an island full of gold run by misnomer black women who fled men to their pet griffins. Like other Amazonians legends, the island of California was a place filled with strong, self-sufficient women who solicited male attention completely on their own terms. This story resonates in California, which has a long history of gender roles being constructed. And it is fitting that the state, which has served as a frontier for issues of race, gender, and religion, gets its name from a mythical story where race, gender, and religion collide. And finally, nobles, the story of an island full of gold foreshadowed the gold rush, which propelled the idea of the California dream around the world. Remember, a Moorish African emperor, Abu Bakr, took 1,000 ships to the New World in the 1300s. So Moorish navigators and seamen were highly sought in those days. That the previous land-bounded Europeans, no disrespect, were in their infancy in navigational and maritime sciences. A misnomer black man used to own the San Fernando Valley. That was P.O.D. Jesus Pico. Research him, 1801 to 1894. Fact check me. He was also the last Mexican governor of California. In total, in the 1800s, there were at least 4 misnomer black governors of the state of California. California is a part of California history, and she also reinforces the fact that when Cortez named this place California, he had 300 misnomer black people with him. And throughout the whole Spanish-Mexican War, 40% of the population was black. In 1535, Cortez led an expedition back to the land of Khalifa, or California, and dedicated to be renamed it Santa Cruz. However, the name did not stick, nobles, and the natives and the Moors and the misnomer black Indians and the misnomer red Indians, also called whites, continued to use the ancient and old name of the land, California. Cortez himself and his contemporaries appeared to have used the name too. In 1550 and 56, The name appears 3 times in reports about Cortez written by Giovanni Battista Ramusio. Thus, over the years of increasing conquest, colonization, rape of the land of California, the ancient land of the Moors has held unto its name and identity, and in the knowledge that one day it will be as it was in the beginning. Nobles, there are over 800 maps of California as an island up until the nearly 1800s. Domicile and the Stanford Research Library. I'm giving you where you can find it at Stanford University. And of course, it is the Jesuits who claimed the whole island of California is a myth. Although some early maps showed California on the mainland, but a powerful refutation of the island theory came in 1701 when Jesuit explorer Bespio Kino crossed the Baja Peninsula and with a telescope saw that it was part of the continent. Fact check me. Nobles, there's over 250 maps from the 17th and the 18th centuries show California as an island. The definitive catalog of California as an island maps is the mapping of California as an island by McLaughlin. The first map in McLaughlin's catalog dates to 1621. The island maps continue until the 1800s, in spite of Spanish explorer Father Kino demonstrating California's connectedness in 1705 by walking there from New Mexico. But since there were no accurate map, everyone, of the New World, map makers continue to supply market using ancient sources. So I want to stop right there in that because I want to continue to walk along because we got a little bit more time. I'm not going to stay in this, but even in your Exhumed of the Nation, Nobles, we have these for you. Convert it to PDF. You can have on your tablet. In reality, what is a Negro? This is what I always ask misnomer black people. In reality, what is a Negro? You know, detached away from human family of all nations. When you see on page 21 of the Exhumed of the Nation, when you see that so-called animal with all those babies, and what is a Negro? Just like the European wrote, the Negro is a beast. But that picture depicts the mysterious origins and perpetual self-breeding state of the cell-named American Negroes. This brief will reveal exactly how strangely mixed they have been made to appear before the eyes of all recognized nations of Earth. Negroes also certified as blacks and colored people, the acronym we call NBC, at birth by state wherein they are born or naturalized, are all made exclusively in the United States of America. No Negro, black, or colored, or African American is going to get no reparations. How has the Negro, while sustaining the physical appearance of Africans, yet has the uncanny adaptability to imitate any nation on earth, still themselves remain nationless? Most Negro, blacks, and colors do not know why they remain historically detached from every upright nation of the human family. These beastly forms may appear grotesque to most scholars in serious research for the secret origins of the misnomer Negro. But the majority of the most scholar researchers are also unfamiliar with the ratifications of the so-called Willie Lynch theory. And I'm telling you, it's no such thing as a Willie Lynch theory. No, that's fake. That's Eurocentric and Negrocentric propaganda. I already proved it. And that's the crap that we carry. Even some Kunta Kinte, some roots. I showed y'all that's fake. Plagiarized from a European named Harold Colander. All fake. Historians, scientists, clergy really uncover the clandestine truth lodged beneath the surface of so-called 400 years of West African slave trading. You know, this criminal process of enslaving humanity is legally called denationalization. The atrocity of denationalize another man ranks high on the scales of federal and international crimes with treason. That's why I tell Moors, number one, why in the hell, in your right mind, Noble Brian, Maso, or anybody, do you think you can meet some Negro on the internet that call themselves some grand poobah on the Flintstones, can nationalize you or denationalize you and tell you who you are? That's a high form of treason, genocide, and ethnic cleansing. You see, when they talk about all that stupid stuff, and when these goofball Negroes act like they got the power to do this, like they some sheep, they doing the same thing that they say the enemy doing. Am I right about what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Living evidence of this modern day evil began with the public notice, which marks the 1774 colonial black code laws. And all the Masons know what I'll be talking about. They know what I'll be talking about. There's no disrespect to no one. Remember, I told y'all Ralph Ellison wrote a powerful book referring to the American ex-slave entitled The Invisible Man. Remember that? He gave a vivid account of what it's like to exist, yet not be recognized. Think about that. Think about the untold truth of how black people were made. The great God never made anything such beings as Negroes. That's number uno. The Bible do not call you no Negro or no slave. It don't. It might call you an Ethiopian or African per se. It don't call you no Negro. Blacks or colored people, attach them to the human family. And for the self-named African Americans who fancy themselves more intellectually, you know, with that, I got this, I got that, but you're still a slave pertaining to science and law. The most difficult task that we have today is to teach our people that they are not what others say they are. It's an ultimate impossibility to be yourself while being what others have designated you to be, especially when they themselves voluntarily and aggressively insist on being replicas of what the great status quo have labeled them according to U.S. laws. When they talk about color don't matter. Well, if color didn't matter, why didn't we tell the truth? If color didn't matter and all these false images of anyone in history, and I can show you the real thing if color didn't matter. It was the what? The whitewashing of history. Just like in the book of Maccabees say, politically or religiously, he and she cannot be themselves while being something or someone other than themselves. You know, I'm just setting the precedent. You know, what does the law of the United States say about a Negro, black, and color? Let's hit these bullets. It is a legally impossibility for the so-called Negro, black, colored, African-American people to free themselves without the achievement of a good education and divine national and civil laws. Such needed learnings are not nearly as complicated as a Harvard degree because the information is here. Most people in the West do not realize that the foundation of U.S. laws is lodged between European Latin and Greek languages. The first Bible was written in Koine Greek. Law is Latin. Ironically, the first Bible was today's United States church, government, state officers were sworn upon was also in Koine Greek. None of the European systems of education are designed to free, no disrespect, the misnomer Negro. I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to show you in religion too. No disrespect. On a more personal note, the basis of all laws are more of a person's birthright that rests upon the two immutable pillars of status and jurisdiction. And we talk about doing things the right way. For example, to know the true status of any Negro, black, or colored person, a seeker must learn the origin of the definition of the words. So do not forget these words were the property labels given to slaves by slave owners, then written into the 1779 United Constitution under the classification of the 3/5 clause. And during that time, and at the great Constitution of the USA was written, misnomer Negro, blacks, and colored were those who had been reduced from African nationals to chattel property by the people and for the people. This made the slave term Negro, black, and colored legally branded upon African descents and lawfully enforced by all U.S. courts. And in 1857, the United States Supreme Court, infamous, remember the Dred Scott decision, upheld the original denationalization intent of slave marks, Negro, black, and colored. And later in 1868, the Congressional 14th Amendment, the words all persons born, still meaning commercial property, and incorporating the original 3/5 clause written in the U.S. Constitution, made the newly freed misnomer Negro, black, and colored believe he or she were citizens. Truth is there is no one who is able to make any property a citizen as long as it continues to self-claim the name of property and is still nationalized via ownership of the government per se. Think what I'm saying. Truth is, the definition of the word Negro, black, and color has never been changed in the Webster's or the law dictionaries. Neither any of the three branches of the United States government that have jointly enslaved the nationals of Northwest and Southwest shores of Africa. If I don't know what I'm saying, get the SF 181 form pertaining to ethnicity and then look at it. And it says fill out everything pertaining to you. And then it talks about Africa being aware of white people, this and that and the other. And then they got a so-called black land. Think about what I'm saying. And then the SF 180 form, it shows you how to fill that out to bring questions up. Because if anything, black shouldn't be on there. Because according to science and law, black means slaves, and we're not slaves. We have the right to question things. How? By law and facts. We're not Negro, blacks, and color or African Americans that's synonymous to slaves. We can go to the court of law and prove that Negro, black, and color means slave and rest our case with no rebuttal. I can go to court and say that a Negro that identifies as Negro, black, and color or African American will never get no reparations. And the only person that will ever get reparations for a Negro slave is the person that created them. I can guarantee and go and bank everything on it. And if you don't understand that, that's the problem. The problem with getting this message across to those that need to know is the pre-measured Negro mentality will naturally reject its own freedom. And that's when I say we have a problem, when a Negro will reject their own freedom. Sad as hell. It's difficult for such a mind, O'Brien, to comprehend anything which is not first sanctioned by their master or the mental slavery, which we call doubt. In fact, the changing of slave labels every 10 years, if placed to music with a beat, is more acceptable than to search for one's free national name. We always let rappers and entertainers lie to us, talking about some Willie Lynch. Rappers like Talib Kweli and all these rappers talk about some Willie Lynch. These are not educators. That's Eurocentric and Negrocentric propaganda. That's bullcrap. And then we promulgate that and we say, see, we messed up because of Willie Lynch. That's propaganda. And anybody talking about Willie Lynch at the Million Man March, I respect Farrakhan, but that's BS too. The histories of human slavery reflect ruling governments. So I want y'all to have an idea on that. I want y'all to have an idea on these things of how the Baltimore Review Sunday 1992, how it called you different things each month. I want you to look at another document called the name Negro and its evil origins. You know, I'm not going to read too much now. I'm just showing it. But I'm gonna jump into a little bit of this as we close. And I'm going to close with the Negro question, and we out of here. The religious instructions of the Negroes in the United States. You see, every time for something that's not free, Brian, somebody got to make your rules or say this, like the Black Christian codes. Everything somebody have that's not free, somebody got to tell you. Somebody got to feed you. Somebody got to have an overseer. You understand what I'm saying? And so, historical sketch of religions, instruction of the Negro from the first introduction into the country in 1620, 1842. This is what they saying. But watch how we're going to blow all that out the water at the end. Because we're talking about a people that a slave, a part of history. But then we're going to talk about the rich history as well. You know, but such in the scarcity of materials and the difficulty of arriving the sacred sources of information, that I have called the following historical notice of the religious instruction of the Negro in the United States, a sketch. It derives no better name, although perhaps it may embody the principal fact on the subject. I want us to research this. When I say the Negro is a beast, the Negro don't know nothing. No disrespect. For the sake of speaking, the sketch is divided into periods of time. You know, from the introduction of Negroes into the country, they say the introduction 1620 to the first census 1790, a period of 170 years. The second period from 1790 to 1820. So if they took a census and with misnomer, watch this, they fact checking what I'm saying. And they took a census and Negroes today fill out Negro, black, and color, and African American. So today, if this was happening today, you would be filling out as a slave, willingly, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Thank you. Why? This is what I be asking Negroes. Like, huh? Account of the introduction of Negroes into colonies under the government of Great Britain. It was in the year 1501 that Isabella of Spain granted permission for the introduction of Negro slaves into Hispaniola or Hispaniola, but such only as had been born in Spain or in slavery among Christians. And in the following year, a few had been sent into the New World. In 1508, the Spaniards opened a direct trade in slaves and imported Negroes into Hispaniola from the Portuguese settlements on the coast of Ghana. Ferdinand V, by royal ordinance, enjoined a direct traffic in the slaves between Ghana, Hispaniola in 1511. Charles V in 1512 and 13. I'm showing y'all all this in history. 1517, Charles V granted a patent to one of his Flishman favorites, containing an exclusive right of importing slaves, 4,000 annually, into Hispaniola, Cuba, excuse me, Jamaica, Puerto Rico. This is a favorite sold his patent to some Ghanaians or Ghanaians merchants for 25,000 ducats, and they were first who brought into regular form the commerce for slaves. 45 years after, man, I can go on and on. The Dutch, in common with other maritime nations of Europe, engaged in the trade, and a man of war of the nation from the coast of Ghana. And we can go all along and on in history. Virginia was settled in 1607. In 1671, contained 2,000 Negroes. In 1763, 100,000. It's just showing you all in precedent. I'm showing you a highlight, and it's in the name of Christianity. When we talk about the religious instructions for the Negro, the religious instructions for the Negro. But as we close, nobles, I got to do this because out of all those things in history, you still have a bright history. Because no matter what nobody's saying, I'm just going to high cap the Negro question, and I'm going to give you some scholarship from first century European writers that should at least be like, damn. That at least should open your mind and be like, damn, why? At least. So the first one off my brain, before I get into the Negro question, part 4, I'm going to give you Albert Churchward, signed the symbol of the primordial man. I'm going to give you Gerald Massey, Natural Genesis, and all his books. It's a couple more, but I just want to give those two because I want to hurry up and get out of here because we've been going for a minute. So let me just give a little highlight of this because I want us to hear this. In this piece of science, I just want to shed a little light on the missing link between the two sciences, history and genetics. We have been trained to trust without question what we are taught in the academia, the abolitism of the United States. Now a new science has emerged that has produced results that are in direct conflict with history that is being taught in the classrooms. The science is genetics. By what is this issue? This pebble is the shoe that is pitting genetics against history. The world history that is being taught in the classroom omit the existence of the Black Scots. When I say Black, I'm just talking about the you. The Black Irish, the Black Brits, the Black Italians, the Black French, or the Black Europeans that were sold directly into the American slave plantations. Even when you get Ancient and Modern Britons by David McRitchie, I forgot to talk about him. It's 2 volumes. It's 2 volumes. The history that is being taught in the classroom is direct conflict with the eyewitness, the artifacts, the DNA, the surnames of the misnomer Blacks in America. The great omission has caused the public to view both institutions in a fraudulent and suspect manner. I'm telling you, I'm educated at academia. They have a thing called the reading list and program learning and required learning. And a lot of professors, they have them students read some Willie Lynch stuff to mess their mind up. But I bet you they won't come to me with that crap. What is the solution to this problem? What is the missing link? Okay, the Negro question, part 4, is the missing link, everyone. Has the answer to make both sciences come together in a perfect, harmonious marriage. Remember, science and law. Law governs all events. Everything we do, we're here to build. Everything we do, it fits hand in hand.
Yes, sir.
It's like putting 2 hands together.
Make me clap.
Yep. Neither of the two sciences possess the link to bring cohesiveness to their respective fields. The secret lies in the past and the writings of Professor, and I'm giving you scholarship. Here we go, because we're gonna set the precedent, y'all. We this whole little last part about to be drums, about to be boom boom. So if you want here, write it down, inbox me. Professor Boyd Dawkins in the Edict of Oliver Cromwell, in Ancient Artifacts, and in the Essays of Benjamin Franklin. Their scholars, scientists, and historians are confused. Their institutions have failed them. Their money failed them. They have been deceived by the Renaissance, and blindness has been taken hold of them all. The shining of light hurts the eyes, and they find shelter in the darkness. If you have read any of these books, or if you listen to anything that I'm saying, you already know what this is. This is the next episode. So when I tell everybody, put on your seatbelt. So in this science, in chapter 1, the eyewitness period, we talk about the Irish priest, Saint Brendan, the navigator. I'm just showing y'all pictures, and I'm gonna break it down, and then I'm gonna break down what they call themselves. What they call themselves. James Anderson, 1911, The Riddles of Prehistoric Times. You can find this. This little black Welshman, Scot, Celt, settled in France, Gonix of the Canary Island, France, Ireland, Spain, and the British Islands, and all over Europe. Okay, let's deal with the next European scholar of the times, Professor Winchell Alexander, our remote ancestry, 1815-1900, collections of journals. These short black men came from Atlantis. And then I'll show y'all, I got this ancient Masonic book called Atlantis of Latter Days that the European try to call himself El Elyon. That's why I said I don't have a problem with lower level Masons, because they sons of Muslims. I have a problem with my Negro Masons that call themselves some widow son and hide the sign from their brothers and sisters and their family. And then when I destroy their snowman wisdom, they be looking at me like I've done something. I said, come out that shallow grave. That's what I tell even my empresses. Come out that shallow grave. But these short black men came from Atlantis, Northern Africa, and they overran Europe. They were known as Britons. What Britons? As David McRitchie told you, the ancient and modern Britons. These is facts. Roman historian Tacitus. I'm sure y'all educators and y'all scholars know about Tacitus, the origins of the Black Britons, the Iberians. And now we talk about the Iberians with all these so-called Egyptologists and that Anunnaki fake stuff they be using, Zechariah Stinson, which I can prove that's pseudo, that Zechariah Stinson don't have no credit in this field or nothing. Talk about some Iberian and some Anunnaki. No, it ain't. It's the Moors. It's the real people. They're the Iberians. It ain't no fake alien. I can show you the whole attire of the so-called Anunnaki of the Iberian. Got your whole attire on, your tunic, cotton and silk with the sash, the fez on with braids. Man, miss me with the trash and all the symbology that I just been talking about. I can show you. I go right back to the Greek restaurant and show you all the stuff that they have on the walls. Roman historian Tacitus, he said, the Iberians are black people with curly hair. Anthropological Review Society, London, Volume 8. I'm giving you all this where you can find it. Joseph Ritza, Annals of Caledonia, Picts and the Scots, Volume 2, page 7 and 27. The Picts, the Britons, are brown complexion with curly hair. Ivan van Sertima, African presence in early Europe, page 225. The Britons look like the Ethiopians. Albert Churchward, 1912, Origins and Evolutions, page 12 and 13. The Black Basque were exterminated from Europe. Professor Boyd Dawkins, our earliest ancestors. Bygone Days, a lecture delivered in the public hall. Cooleyhurst, Manchester, January 8th, 1879. All the scholars, this should be it. The ancient Britons, Irish, Scots, are a short black people. Page 103 to 107. They gonna diss they scholars. They'll talk about these scholars, Noble O'Brien, Noble Mosso, in high regards, but they're not gonna tell what they said, what they saw. Huh?
Don't make no sense.
And now we're talking about today. Our teacher's not gonna teach this. Dr. Thurman, Nature Journal of Science, page 92. From the evidence at hand, it seems that the Iberian, aka the black men, occupied the whole of Western Europe at one time. Not a part, not a small, not a little bit, Noble Brian, more so. It said the whole of Western Europe at one time.
Yep.
Yeah, Professor Huxley. Yeah, we almost there. Professor Huxley, 1870, the Iberian race, page 332. The Iberian, the Basque, the black bones have been found all over Europe with his animals. I have inserted the writings of 8 English white historians to show that you're white, and I'm using white because I'm reading what the author said. Brothers who were closer to the epic center didn't have a problem telling the truth about the original inhabitants of Europe. These Welshmen, Britain, Irishmen, Frenchmen, Russian, Germans, Italians, Swedes were in Europe thousands of years before the English arrived in 449 AD. And this will be proven by the writings of Professor Boyd Watkins, professor of geology at Manchester University, London. Watch this, y'all. Professor Boyd Dawkins was invited to speak in public hall in Manchester, London, January 18th, a day before my birthday. Research this for all my truth seekers in 1879. And in his lecture, y'all, he gives a detailed account of the people who originally inhabited Europe. And without blushing, this is what he said. Y'all want me to read what he said?
Yes, sir.
All right. Here we go. This is what he said. Professor Boyd Watkins, professor of geology, Manchester University, London, 1879. Our remote ancestry, pages 95 to 106. I'm giving it to you so a child can do this. The original people of Britain, France, Spain, England were short black men. When I bring out my other book, the first Americans were Africans. I got this little book too, it's showing it. 5 feet 6 inches in height. They were in England when our fathers, the misnomer white English, invaded the land in 449 AD. Our fathers were a warlike people who by 607 AD had pushed the Basque west into Wales, Cumberland, Westmoreland, the Highlands of Scotland, and Devon. These black people boast that they were citizens of the Roman Empire. The Welsh or the ancient Britons before the Romans ever came here. These black Basque Britons have brought the knowledge of iron and bronze with them. The iron and bronze technology will be proven perfectly when I show you the German tapestry. These people were herdsmen. They possessed the short horned ox, the horned sheep, the goat, pig, and the horse. Evidence of their civilization can be seen all over the continent of Europe, as well as throughout the British Islands, extending as far as Germany, Switzerland, and to France and Spain. These black people originated from Iberian Peninsula and are a fragment of the old Spanish population. They were in France, Spain, Ireland, Britain, Scotland. One of the techniques that I like to employ when dealing with my research is to try to get as close to the point of the evidence as I can. In this case, Professor Boyd was right there, and he mentioned seeing the specimen of the black Basque from different parts of Europe and state that if you laid them next to each other, you would not be able to tell one corpse from another. The purpose of this, what I'm saying, is to prove in the beginning that the historians of those times in the 18th nobles and the 19th nobles century had no problem describing the so-called blackness of the early Europeans. Benjamin Franklin, Professor Boyd Dawkins, and Albert Churchward gave us eyewitness accounts of the world order in their generation. Dr. Albert Churchward's eyewitness account give us a grim description of what happened to the black presence in Europe. Now, you know, Albert Churchward wore sign the symbol of the primordial man, showing you that this masonry is your science, the European. And then I showed y'all the other European mason giving credit to Noble Drew Ali.
Peter Lambert Wilson.
Yes, the Scottish Rite Mason. The good doctor stated that the blacks became extinct. Extinct meaning exterminated by the time he gave his lecture in 1912. So when he came and gave his lecture in 1912, Dr. Albert Churchward, he said that the Royal Society of London, they were extinct. It is of extreme importance that we begin this discussion with the eyewitness accounts of the English historians concerning the old world order. Remember the old world, and then remember yesterday, Dreshan was talking about the new world order. I hope we caught this, has become obvious to me in my research and to any scholar that the ancient medieval and early 20th century historians were describing the old world order in their respective generations. And these historians describe a world in which blacks were in power all over the earth. And from this vantage point, we shall spring forth in the future to see the secrets of the past. So I want to stop right there because, like I said, I showed y'all all the pictures of. Oh, I like to let me end with this because this let me end with this.
I'm on with it.
I told people when people get caught up in spookism and Eurocentric propaganda, it's going to always be Negroes making things up. You're going to see women and men on TikTok talk about, and the King James this, and the King James gay, this, and that, and the other, talk about some European King James, but not dealing with first century. Here goes the king, the Scottish king of England. Here you go right here. Let me, for all those ones talking, for don't know what they be talking about, and just like to say stuff, here you go right here. Here you go right there. That's him. That's him. That's him right there. So let me break this down. The image is in a New College Library in Edinburgh, UK. I know the image of when I say this, I'm just saying it as a speaking point, of a black King James, that's right, can be a little confused because of your Western education. But this is the truth that is known by the rich, the elite. When I talk about the Royal Archives, where I study at, when I talk about the law libraries, when I talk about in certain areas, the Royal Archives where you can study at, the Library of Congress, where you can fact check things, Oxford and Cambridge, the information is there. That was the reason I paraded all of the English historians and professors before you, before I got into the bowls of this science. I just got to give you all this. I'm sorry. I know we've been going for a while, but we've been miseducated all our lives.
I was just about to say we need it.
You say what, Noble?
I was just about to say we need it.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for your patience. I had to get your mind ready to receive this. Remember now, for all my people that's making these TikTok videos to talk about some King James, man, boom. King James came from a long line of black Scottish stewards, kings, 343 years of rulership in Scotland. So what y'all be talking about is some modern stuff. The Stuarts not only ruled in Scotland, they ruled France, Spain, Ireland, England, Britain, Wales. King James was able to rule all of these lands because of all of these people were under the Iberian, the black descendant. That's why all these European Masons, like Zachariah Stinson, when they talk about some Anunnaki, they want to make everything pertaining to you some alien and draw off the breadcrumbs. I'm telling you, I bet you if they was in the flesh, they won't say nothing because I know they all 32 and 33 degree snowman Masons. I know this, and I got their science. I'm not disrespecting no one. They were the same people. If you look at the ball in his hand, when I showed y'all that picture, I wish somebody can pull that picture up and have it so you can see it on their big. You know, it's the Scottish King of England. You know, if somebody can pull that up, oh, that'd be dope. And put that on there. The image is located in a New College Library in Edinburgh, UK. And I want you to look at that, you know? And when you look at the ball in his hand, it represents the world rulership. And they were the only one group of world leaders who used this type of symbolism. When I tell y'all, you got to look at the symbolism to catch history. And they were the Byzantine Roman emperors. So if the only Byzantine Roman emperors had this, and we're talking about first century history, that should tell you something. They told the English that they were what? Roman citizens. Here go proof. Another man who made the same boast. And if you have wisdom, you know who I'm talking about. This is one of the signs of scholarship. We are able to read the symbolism of images. You know, the ancient Scottish were the tribe from northeastern Ireland, which means the Scots are really Irish. So if I have seen an ancient Scot, I have seen an ancient Irishman. And if I have seen an ancient Irishman, I have seen an ancient Briton. And I can show you all pictures. I can show you all pictures, which I've done a plethora of time. When we got to get out the cap. When I show you King Charles II of the Scots, pictures. So I just want to share that. But image of King James of the Scots, the New College Library in Edinburgh, UK. Look at him. Look at the brother. Look at him. And ask the people in history about that. Ask them how they was killed. Ask them how they ravaged the three kingdoms and the Jacobites. How they tried to restore the black Stuart kings to power. Ask them about the Jacobites. Ask them about it. You know, the one who shall call himself Jacob. It's in there. I can start showing y'all so much biblical history to point. If color didn't matter, and who you is didn't matter, why they did so much to say who you are and draw you up and say you didn't do nothing. The Scott coats of arms. When I start taking you out to the Netherlands and show you the Corsica flag is the Moor's head. It's no disrespect to no one. We just showing the rich history of what you have and not let nobody lie to us. Man, I can go so deep with this, y'all. And we just don't have time today. We'll do more tomorrow. Anything somebody talk, I can start showing you pictures. Because remember, a picture states 1,000 words. I can show you things on a hieroglyph, how it points to Abraham, how things can happen, how Africa, and when did they begin to arrive, all on the walls. And nobody can deny the black man of Sumer Earth. I can show you all this. It's all in your Bible. But listen, it's a Mari painting scene in this book. I did this in college. I have to show you all this. I'm just getting excited. I'm almost done. I'm sorry. But look, this Mari painting, Brian, it's a painting that was found in ancient Mesopotamia. It's called the Mari painting scene. The brown-skinned people in the picture are the ancient Sumerians. So you got to understand that Sumer, Sennar, in your Bible, was located near the Tigris and the Euphrates River, modern-day Iran and Iraq. So in your Bible, Genesis 11:31, I hope y'all fact-checking me, it records that Abraham had his origination where? In Ur of the Chaldees. Ancient Ur was in the land of Sumer. Shinar in your Bible, or Mesopotamia. Of particular interest is the tablets that were found in Sumer, in which the ancient Sumerians described themselves as what? The black-headed people. Fact-check me. One of the mighty men that lived in a generation that went by the name of what? Sargon the Great stated in his writings, and I quote, that he ruled over the black-headed people. Research this stuff. Evidence, it's an image of the Sumerians. The state from them describing themselves as black. From Sargon the Great. You know, Sumer or Ur were black people making Abraham of the Bible black. It's pictures of warriors from Mesopotamia, Syr, and Ur calling themselves Elamites. Take a close look at these guys because they were and are certainly black. They were Elamites. Look at the pictures. I can show you pictures of Sargon with the, just like when we talk about some Anunnaki, y'all, they stick a fork in it. So I just want y'all to know this and keep an eye on it. In order to trace the seed of Abraham, I'll close out with this as we close. Let me do this. I'll close out with this and we're done. Watch this. I'm going to go to the Bible. What's the big book sitting on your granny table? The Bible is a history book of creation and restoration of the earth after the war in heaven. Watch this. The Bible is also history of the world before it happens. The foreknowledge of God per se. And lastly, the Bible is a record of the genealogy of children of Israel, without which Israel could never find himself. Let's turn to the book of Chronicles in the so-called King James of the Bible. In First Chronicles, the first chapter, verse 34, it reads, and I quote eloquently with a silver tongue, Abraham begot Isaac, and the son of Isaac, Esau, and Israel. The son that we will use for the purpose of this building is Israel. So if you are a Bible reader, you are able to know that Israel's original name was Jacob. This is the lineage, the son of Israel in First Chronicles chapter 2 and verse 1. And it reads, these are the sons of Israel. Watch this. Reuben, Simon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Dan, Joseph, Benjamin, Naphtali, Gad, Asar. The book of Exodus chapter 1, verses 1 through 5. It reads, and I quote, now these are the names of the children of Israel. I hope y'all follow me, which came into Egypt. Every man and his household came with Jacob Israel, Reuben, Sidon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asir, and Joseph. All of the souls that came out of Israel were 70 souls. For Joseph was in Egypt already. Think about this now. Now the word Egypt means black. And in order for us to understand effectively, you got to show pictures of true Egyptians. We have some people in Egypt today that's saying they this, but it's not ancient. We could talk about modern, and I don't want to stay too deep in that. I'm just setting the precedent. You know, no disrespect. The Europeans, the Albion, Trinidad, no, the ancient Egyptians were black. Why else would National Geographic do a front cover piece called The Black Pharaohs of Egypt? The problem with this generation, and there are many, is that there is a major failure to read books. And if you will force yourself to read, you will know that all people of the world, all races, have been migrating for the last so-called 6,000 years when the writing was written. And proof is in the black community, we are people that was removed out of our land. They say 1619 and brought to America. The Caribbeans, that's what they say. You know, the European barbarians came out of the Caucasus Mountain, the 5th century AD, and sacked the Roman Empire and began to dwell in the Roman territories. The barbarians, the Angles, the Jets, the Saxons, the modern day Britons migrated to the British Isles. They did not originate there. And this is a historical fact, no disrespect. And now that I have established the ancient Egyptians were black people, let's run to Genesis and see if the seed of Israel had lost its blackness. Let's see. Because if Daniel's prophecy right, the so-called Messiah gonna leave one way, gonna come back the same way. In the 50th chapter of Genesis, verse 1 and 2, we see that Jacob, Israel died. In verse 7, it says, Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up what? All servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt. Verse 8, and all the house of Joseph, and his brothers, and his father's house. Verse 10, and they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond Jordan, and there they mourned with a great and very sore lamentation. Verse 11, and when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning in the floor of Atad, they said, this is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians. What is the point? What I'm saying? The Canaanites could not tell the difference between the black Egyptians and the black Israelites. Why? Because they both had black skin. Remember, I told you they had two Hebrew pharaohs, Sabatos and Sabakos. I broke that down. I showed you the YHWH in the hieroglyphs. Do you need further proof? It's coins found in Cairo Museum with the image of Joseph on it that was depicted as a black man. You can find all this. So I just wanted to stop right there. Any questions, nobles? Any questions?
No, sir. Everything was eloquently explained, made clear to a crystal standard. You know, just gratitude once again.
I can show y'all a picture of when they be talking about the Anunnaki, and when you see the picture of the Iberians, it's only picture. I mean, it's only this is all they talk about. This the Iberian. This is when you see the so-called picture of Anunnaki, with Zachariah Stench should be acting like some aliens. This is what you're going to be looking at.
Iberian.
I promise you. Yes, the ancient Iberian. All of those things on those plates. When Zachariah Stench talk about some Anunnaki, you're looking at the Iberian on those plates. And Zachariah Stench wasn't even qualified to even speak on this particular topic. That's all you looking at. That's all you looking at. Here go another picture, a better blowed up. So when you start seeing those Negroes and call themselves Egyptologists and they quote Zachariah Stench, you should spit your juice out when them Negroes, when that conscious community coming with that spookism of quoting Zachariah Stench with that trash. I'm showing you these are the Iberians with your face, with your eyes, right here. They ain't no aliens or nothing. That's why they make all those movies. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the alien and all that, because they throw you off the breadcrumbs. It's the Nephili, Israel going into the Assyria. I can show you all this stuff. All that attire, you'll look at it right here, the picture with his bag, with his fringes on. In the biblical scripture, it talks about the follower of Yahshua with our tunic, cotton or silk embroidery. When they talk about the beards, when they talk about the bonnet or the turban with the jewel on it, what are we talking about, man? I hope we're seeing this with our eye. We should be questioning our own scholars and our own educators with that spookism. So that's all I wanted to talk about, man. Thank y'all for listening to me today. If anybody need any research, if you first time checking us out, and if you're on my personal page, please subscribe to our Temple and School YouTube page at Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. Also, our Facebook page. If you like the research, if you like the history, man, support us with donations, and I'll make sure you get literature and information. Please come to class, learn, hit me up. Let's ask some questions and let's do some right things. With that, I say Islam, man. Peace, 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 peace.
Peace, 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 peace. So we'll have our Moorish American prayer. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is our protector, our guide, and our salvation by night and by day. Who was Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Shalom Alakim, Ayah Ash'aya, Hotep, Islam, Amen. Peace, 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 peace.